Greetings, welcome everyone. It's an All You Can Geek Gamecast. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Mike Sneedy,
What's up?
Corey Feinside,
Ahoy.
and Tony Korkanakis.
Hello.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners. Welcome, viewers. We are live right now on Twitch, Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. Please join us for these live broadcasts. We also over on YouTube. So if you're not available on Tuesday nights, you can subscribe over there or here. That way you know when we go live or when we post on YouTube. You get notified. Makes it easier. So be sure to do that. Gamecast. What have we been up to? Kicking it off. I rolled credits, Expedition 33 myself, finally. I played, it took me 23 plus hours. It was 23 plus for the part of the game. I was only like level 51. I wasn't like super high level, but I remember Tony talking about that doesn't scale. So I didn't know if I should do like other things that were there to do.
Depends on how easy you want things to go for you.
That's what I didn't know. So I was like, and I'm glad I went when I did because I feel like it wasn't super challenging, but it wasn't easy. So it's a pretty good blend, I guess. It wasn't bad. So I'm glad I went when I did. But yeah. So, but I got to tell you guys, this game is absolutely phenomenal. Like, just phenomenal. I actually today added the soundtrack to my phone. So I can listen to it in the car. It was funny because I was taking my stepdaughter to school, and I almost said work. It is work for me, but and she's like, "What are you listening to?" I'm like, "Oh, one of the greatest games this year." So it was just and there was parts at the end of the game. There's sequences in the game where the music gets like really powerful, and even my wife was like, she's like, "What are you playing? That music is pretty epic sounding." I'm like, yeah, it is. So
They definitely,
it was,
if there was one thing they were sure about going in, it was they were going to put the music front and center in this game, like throughout. So
And again,
yeah,
the composer,
it's there.
this is their first video game work. Totally just
unbelievable.
found some person on Reddit.
Unbelievable.
It's funny.
SoundCloud.
They showed,
Go for it, man.
They showed some like behind the scenes thing with the guy, and like he's just this unassuming French guy, I guess, and like he's like crying constantly, and like all the interviews are talking about everything, like not hysterically, but he like constantly looks like he's on the verge of tears, and it's like like things are pretty cool to be out of nowhere to be like center stage here and like this huge success out of nowhere. So
yeah,
it makes
well,
sense.
I think this is a shock out of left field this year. This is the game that I think just shocks everybody, and I can't wait for the Game Awards this year. I'm actually going to watch the Game Awards to listen to the music get played for it because I know it's going to be nominated. I don't know if it's going to win it, but I do think it. I mean, it's got to be the front runner. But I
need Flute Guy there.
Yeah. Oh God, yes, the flute guy playing these songs. The Clair Obscur song. Oh my God, yeah. But it's such a not even just the story. It again, we're talking. If you listen to the movie cast, folks, if you go back to the movie cast, we also just did that. We're talking about ambiguity and like just trying to come up with your own the way you do things and what you think of it. And you can have such good conversations, and that's why I'm like pushing Corey here. We are going to try to do a spoiler cast next week. But it's something that I really can't wait to discuss, and I'm going to keep it not on.
Yeah, I was ahead of you, and then you just blew right past me. Dang.
There's a click. There's a click. You know what I mean? Where it just like it grabs you, and you're like, okay. And plus the gameplay.
That click happens like half an hour into the game. What are you talking about? You go to the next part, and you're like, oh, this is it. I'm in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's what it was. Is I had a lot of free time. I finally got some days off.
Yeah, I mean,
there really is a separate story click and actually there's several gameplay click. Like when you really get into where you're like, all right, I want to I'm gonna when you to the point where you're gonna equip like your character that doesn't do much, but just with like 3 new pictos just so you can learn the luminas and like just do easier stuff. When you're like there, you're like, all right, I'm fully understanding these systems now, although there's just so much to keep track of though. But still, that happens a little bit later. But
no, it's the pictos. The you could spend hours just doing pictos. Like you could seriously just sit in the menu doing pictos for like because like I sat there before I got to the final area, like I was like, okay, I don't need this ability because I'll just put it on as the numbers. But then I would like these stats, so I want to put this. You know what I mean? So it's like you're just balancing it, and again, I didn't do everything, so like I only had like 70 lumina, 72 lumina per character available or something like that. So it wasn't like a ton.
Do you want to know what my level 91 team, how many lumina is on each character? And I did do one slight farming thing that I found out, even though I screwed it up and attacked the wrong enemy at one point. I've about 263 on each character.
Yeah. So I pulled it off with 72. But my L is just like,
it's still not enough.
Actually, it's CL. CL was my absolute damage dealer once I got towards the end there. I was like, she's the one that just took out, like, she did about, in the last few hits, she did like 50 some odd thousand damage. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty, is you can build all these characters to do crazy things. But I really appreciate what this is, like you said, came out of left field for most everybody, right? I'm still gonna have that chip on my shoulder. I'm like, yeah, I saw that trailer. I was like, that game looks awesome. And
I mean, that trailer did raise some eyebrows when it came out. Everyone was like, this looks cool, but will it be cool? Kind of the the vibe of it.
They released the 2019 trailer from the game the way it was first teased, and it was like completely different looking game. By the way, when they first started
what's that one WWE's theme, or I believe in Joe Hendry or something like that? It's like, I want to do that. And it's like, I believe in Clair Obscur Expedition 33, like, since I first saw it, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny because, again, like, I've had so many conversations. Like, even right before the podcast tonight, I had somebody replying to a Reddit comment I left, like, 2 weeks ago. And I'm just like, what? Like,
yeah.
Okay, and like somebody's just telling of course, my opinion's wrong. It's like, of course, who's gonna reply 2 weeks later to tell me my opinion's right? So I told them to go F themselves, basically. But anyway, it's so cool just because, like I said, my friend who since childhood, he wanted to call because he lives in Thailand now and or Vietnam, sorry.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got to talk to you about this ending, right? Blah blah blah, and this and the other thing. And then two of my friends just messaged me today because we're big mutual FF fans and stuff like that. And they're like, why don't you tell us about Clair Obscur? I'm like, no, you can't pull that on me. I had that as my Discord status for weeks. Like, I don't want to hear this. Like, if you didn't read it, that's not my fault. So whatever. But then they were like, oh yeah, like once they hit the beach, they're like, oh, it's one of those types of game. I'm like, yeah, like that's that Jack Nicholson gif, right? Where he's just like, nodding his head, grinning, stuff like that. But I expect it to carry through the rest of the year, and I just foresee it being the industry darling choice for this year. Just again, everybody loves it.
I would put it as a front runner.
Absolutely,
100%. I can't imagine not winning. Like, even up against like Metroid Prime, I just still can't see it not winning. Just because of the, like you said, it's not only this year's not only the industry darling, but it's also, 33 million. Was it 33 million copies sold as of?
No, 3.3 million.
3.3. In 33 days.
Thank you. 33 days. They're
3.3
they made a tweet
33
today
days.
that's breaking. They're like, we couldn't even make this up. And it's just like kind of poetic. It's like, wow, that's pretty significant and stuff like that. But
no, it's good. And it's like optional things that happen that make it more interesting. Cause like I was talking to someone else and there's a battle where you have to fight a character who has 3 different modes or masks, if you know what I'm talking about. And I didn't realize that you could get rid of those. And I was like, oh shit, that would have made things easier.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Wow, you didn't realize that?
That's crazy.
I was just told, like, there's a point where the guy's like, do you just want to go for it or do you want to just like explore? I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. Like, I feel strong. I was like, all right, well, okay.
Yeah. No, there's so for what I've finished. I'm pretty much done with the game for now until I don't know if I want to do a new Game Plus run. There's obviously a couple obvious reasons. One of them being just to re-examine the story, but there's also another obvious reason why you would do a new Game Plus. But we won't go into that right now. But we all know why. But I don't feel like I really need to. But there's a lot more optional content than I initially thought.
Oh yeah,
but
absolutely.
The world is very big. It's like the overmap is very large, and yet they kind of streamline you to a certain points.
Spots,
but there's like parts where you just skip in the beginning because like it says, "Oh, danger! Don't go there yet." So yeah, that's neat that they make you go back or can go back.
Yeah, so I've gotten to the point where I've done, I think, everything except the one final boss that is probably almost certainly the hardest boss in the game, and I can get the first stage, but the second stage is just like, all right, you lose the end, and to the point where I can't learn anything because it's just instant and it's a little annoying. It's almost like, all right, like I've sort of almost rage quit the game that way, which is unfortunate because I genuinely like it, but I could, really tool around with the Luminas and stuff because I have a lot of like when you're going for one boss, you have a lot of on death. I have a lot of on death Luminas, which don't make sense to have equipped at this point, but I don't feel like going through all of that just,
But you
just
should.
for all that.
Like, that's
so.
the point of the game. Like they gave you a lot of
No.
recolors. They gave you a lot of recolors to respect to fight certain bosses.
Remember, I have 262 points on each of them.
Yeah,
so
but you can also respect.
A while.
You can also respect.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, that's irrelevant almost, but it's.
Well, it depends on what weapon you're using. I mean, respecting the point,
right.
Make sure the weapon matches your stats.
I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They do.
You change weapons out. Yeah.
So
okay.
there you go. Yeah.
But either way,
and get better skills that can match. But yeah, skills that can actually beat the boss better. I don't know. Strategize, Mike. Strategize.
No, I mean, well, okay. You really have to see how much
from one Elden Lord, right? From one Elden Lord.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I'm just saying, like you can, like I remember I'm just gonna bring up some Elden Ring story. I'm just gonna bring it up. I'm just not gonna get into too much. But I remember having to respec a few times just to make sure I could beat certain bosses because it's not possible.
Yeah, well, there's certain aspects of this boss where no matter what you do, all your stats don't matter. So,
okay.
Yeah, you'll see.
I mean, like, then I'm just gonna bring this up as an Elden Lord. Get good. That's it.
As an Elden Lord.
Well, listen, that works with the first. The first round it worked fine. The second round, you can't. Everything is like indecipherable.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I don't know the fight you're talking about, but I can imagine how crazy it must get. So just knowing how the other battles.
Because I've done like literally everything else in the game. I think, but no, it's and then I moved back to Kingdom Come Deliverance too.
We will. Yeah, that's good. So get back to that game. Yeah, so I finished that.
Pretty much
we will have a spoiler cast for those wondering. I expect it to be a nice lengthy conversation about multiple things.
Yeah,
this game.
Oh, it's good.
So all right, Tony, anything for you?
No, I got sidetracked. I meant to play the game I was mentioning last week, the 100-line Defense Academy, but then another game came out from Level 5 called Fantasy Life.
Fantasy Life I or whatever, 500 I or whatever it is.
Something like that.
Dull Time or something.
Yeah, because my one friend he raved about the original on 3DS like years ago, and I never picked up. He's like, dude, you really should play this. And the thing is, it's kind of like a hybrid of like a casual Animal Crossing type Sims Harvest Moon type game, but also like Final Fantasy Zelda Monster Hunter ish, where it's just like imagine Animal Crossing, but you also like go and fight monsters in dungeons and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'll pick that up, right? So I was getting ready to pick that up, and then literally just the other day, they're like, oh, there's a Switch 2 version coming out for launch. So I was like, well, we're 1 week away from Switch 2, actually. So I was like, well, I might as well just wait the 1 week before I play it. So I got sidetracked. I was like,
there is an upgrade that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I was like, well, if I play it, I'll just wait a week and play it on the with a better, system, rather than start it now and just be like, oh, well, I could have just waited a week. So, I don't think I can finish 100-line defense in a week and a half, but we'll see. But other than that, just my service games, 14, Fortnite, Rocket League. It's really funny because I remember like years and years ago, PS4 days when we were playing Rocket League, and I know Mike, we played it for we were playing, and you're like, I thought you guys played this game, and it was bad. But now I'm at the point where I'm just like, I'm cursing at people because they're so damn bad. Where I'm just like this one dude scored on us. I'm like, what are you doing? Like The ball's supposed to go the other way, bro. The ball's supposed to be going the other way. Why are you hitting it backwards? Like, there's no point that you should be hitting it backwards. But, and man, people just suck at that game. But whatever. I just log in for like my 3 rounds a day and I'm out. So.
Yeah, and for those wondering what the exact title of that game was, Fantasy Life I: The Girl Who Steals Time.
Yes,
that's what it's called.
Yes, thank you.
Because it reached my radar, so I knew what you're talking about. Because I was looking at it Sunday.
Yeah,
once I finished Expedition 33, I was like, okay, I'm gonna check it out. Oh, it was yesterday.
Yeah, it's gotten really good reviews. I think they just announced it hit 500,000 copies sold or something like that. Which, this is not like indie, but it's not like obviously AAA or anything like that. Which is a good success story for this publisher. And the funny story is that apparently this project was being worked on by our boy Keiji Inafune, who ruined that last Kickstarter I did for video games, Mighty Number 9. And once he had to leave the project, then it's like, they had to hire all these rogue developers in Japan to help finish the game. And I'm like, fuck you, Inafune. You're still fucking us over years later. Like, just go and be a salary man somewhere. Like, get the fuck out of the game industry. But that's it.
Yep. All right, Corey.
No, I was just playing that and board games.
We played some board games. We played some Slay the Spire.
Yeah,
we played Slay the Spire. I gotta say that real quick on this. That was fun. We got together. I don't get around to play some board games with you guys too much, but I was happy that I was able to get out there. Unfortunately, I couldn't finish the run with you guys. I had to leave. That game is okay. So next time I know, you need like 6 hours to run that game. I didn't know that actually when I agreed to play it, but we started at 12. It was I left after 4.
You got there 20 minutes late. Okay. For one, and then we didn't start.
I got there at 12:20, and I left at 4:15.
Yeah,
and we were just starting Act 3.
Yeah, but you were also fucking catching up with Nick for like 20-something minutes. I'm sitting here. I'm like, we need to play this game.
Oh my god!
What do you want me to say?
We definitely started closer to 1 than we did to 12.
All right.
I'd say like a 3-act game, and that is probably like 4 hours.
Yeah. 4 hours. Okay.
4 hours is safe, I'd say.
With everything with thinking about it too, but it was a lot of fun. I like that. It's a deck builder / what would you call it? Deck builder / I guess deck builder game.
Co-op
really
deck builder.
All it is, but yeah. I see for me like
boss battler in a way.
Yeah, I like the co-op. I always like the co-op games, like the Last Night on Earth, all those kind of games. I like working together to try to solve the strategy, to get the strategy together. It's just more accessible because you don't get to play much with the every man for himself stuff. But I did love that aspect of things, and every character has their own trick, own strategy, and it was good. A lot of fun trying to figure out how to clear the mobs.
Implementation of a video game into board game form, which is also it's a solo game too. So it's not like in video game form you're just playing it by yourself. Here you're playing it cooperatively with all the characters in the game that you would play, and they do a really good job of balancing the different characters to make them make sense in the co-op sense. Yeah. So it's cool. It's a lot of fun.
It was great. It was a great great run there. And
I think it won an award for best co-op game last year.
I was very impressed. Very impressed with it. Miniatures game, sort of.
It has miniatures, but you don't move.
It has miniatures. Yeah, it's true. The rest of them are all just little squares for health. All right. Anyways, let's get into some news. Let's see. We don't have too much going on in the gaming world this week. We'll finish with the numbers. We talked about Clair Obscur 3.3 million. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD remake. They got a release date for that. October 30th, I think this year. October 30th, I think is what it is. And it's coming for Switch 2, confirmed. So
Switch 2, we're like just over a week away.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
might be why there's not a whole lot of news. Everyone's steering clear a little bit.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
well,
and also the summer Game Fest stuff.
People have seen them out in the wild too. With,
it's funny you mentioned that. So somebody posted on Twitter like a Target had like one of those portable cages out, and it's like just a bunch of Switch 2s out there. But then somebody apparently in some European country or whatever bought like a Switch 2 for like $1,000 US, whatever the equivalent is, just to have it early. And then it's like, oh well, it needs a day 1 update before it does anything. Like he can't even play Switch 1 game without updating. So it's like, well, I just paid a lot of money for my system early just to have it. Like
just to
it's like
unbox it.
yeah, it's like, cool, cool, man. Let me get the clicks there.
It'll be fully charged.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's coming up quick. A lot of this Dragon Quest thing for me, the remakes. I've never played the game, so it's very much something I want to start with.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
Yep. I mean, the Dragon Quest games I know of, obviously Toriyama's artwork and everything like that, but never got to play them really. So.
Yeah, apparently the 3 remake was really well done. So
that's what I want. I got to play that first. That's the first.
Yeah,
game,
play.
Right?
Well, it's recommended you play 3 before you do the 1 and 2 now.
Chronologically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I gotta pick that up for Switch. All right. Let's see. Oh, did we talk about the Darth Vader voice last week? The AI generated voice. We did on the Fortnite. So apparently SAG-AFTRA
and ask
yes, that's right.
GPT questions, whatever.
That's right. So apparently there's a lawsuit happening now for the Darth Vader AI voice from SAG-AFTRA. So files
because like you mentioned it last week, Tony, that the estate said, yeah, we'll give your blessing, you'll go for it. AI generated voice, whatever.
They did, but the union doesn't think it's good. Yeah, doesn't think it's good for actors to have
setting a precedent that's not.
Well, you don't hire another actor to do a impersonation of another actor. This one is I'm a little mixed on this one. More normally with this AI stuff, it's clear cut, but the man himself and his estate both gave permission, and everyone else is literally just doing an impression of his voice. So
yeah, like I'm with Mike. Like again, I understand the guild's reluctance or hesitance or unhappiness with it. But it's like, James Earl Jones, who was the original actor of it. It's like I think his estate even said like he always believed that the iconic voice of Darth Vader was something that he was, I don't know, grateful to have, right, and for it to have like been so iconic for people's lives and stuff like that. So he agreed to do this, obviously to get compensated as well, but he wanted something to leave behind his legacy and stuff like that.
Right.
And I think that's
carry
cool.
on.
Right. Like I think that's cool, right? I'm not saying I want every character to have done that, but like for Darth Vader, it's like, yeah, that's cool, right?
Yeah, there are certain characters that are iconic, not just for their look, but for the way that they speak and the voice. And it is a character's voice, and obviously a real person did the voice. But again, like Mike, said, the same thing. If the actor and the family of the actor, the estate, whatever, give their blessing and say, hey, go ahead, do this thing. Obviously, compensate as well, like you said, Tony. Like, why is it a problem? I think it's just the guild is like, well, we don't want to set a precedent that this is okay to happen for everyone, anywhere, anytime. We need to be able to control certain things, and that's where they're coming from. But in the end, like.
What do you?
I don't think anything's gonna come of it. Yeah, nothing's gonna come of it. But yeah. So, all right. Lastly, in the news, we got the Circana news for April. I knew that came out.
We could talk about something else. Marvel Rivals is going through a little something right now.
What is it?
Well, it's announcing. It's what is this 2.5 this season now. Well, the numbers are down. Myself included. I'm not playing every day anymore. I was, but I'm, between Expedition 33 and other things, I've, fallen off a bit. But, they have this patch coming out now where they're reworking Jeff. Jeff means they're upset. They're reworking Thor. Ooh, we'll see how that goes. They're trying to do anti-dive now since dive was oppressive. We'll see what that does. And there's Ultron, who is coming, who I'm not that hyped for, but he's like a hybrid healer, which we haven't had too much of yet. So we'll see. And then after this half season is when things get really crazy, because that's when they do a new character every month going forward once the season is done. So we'll see, but the enthusiasm is a little lower on this game now, and hopefully we get some more interesting characters and not piss everyone off with every patch coming out, because it's starting to feel a little bit like that. unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I remember what you're talking about. So they had the developer stream or whatever like that, which you know, they have done since season 0, which I think is good overall for communication.
Oh, they're good.
Where they're going through all the various aspects of the patch, and of course, kind of like the Overwatch cycle. Like anytime somebody's main gets nerfed, I understand, right? I understand. Like I got upset when Brigitte got nerfed. I was like, that was the last straw for me. I was like, fuck that. Like Brigitte is the best anti-dive support, and it's like, oh no. Tracers Genjis can't free dive the supports anywhere. Oh no, God forbid. So I get that, but like when it's like, hey, reworking characters and stuff like that, it's part of the game. But yes, I get when people are emotionally invested in their mains and stuff like that. So I understand that. But I think what the Rivals team has been doing is that they've been really receptive to feedback. So just because it's being nerfed right now, I don't think means that you can't get buffed, right? So like perfect case in point was
they do things very quickly. Yeah, very quickly.
Like Doctor Strange got nerfed after the initial season, and to the point where I'm like, I didn't even want to play him. I don't want to play him anymore. Yeah. I was playing Emma Frost, so it worked out. But now they're buffing again, so I'm like, oh, cool. Well, maybe I'll pick up Strange again, and that's just how it goes, right? That's the double-edged sword of playing a live service game. So. I do think it's just one of those things where maybe it's not the new shiny thing anymore, right? Because we're like 6 months into Rivals, so
and if there is something like a little lacking in the game, it's the maps and the map variety. There's just they made the decision to do a rotation too with the few maps they have this last season, where there's like 2 maps that just aren't there now, which seems a little odd considering how few they have.
Yeah, I don't think I've played on Asgard in a long time. Now that I think about it.
There's I think that one Convergence Spider-Man map.
Yeah, that one too.
Spider
I haven't played that one in a while.
City one. Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but it's just, this feels like sort of like an interesting point in time for them where they're gonna switch to that, monthly hero release pretty soon, and this is the last like half season as they had planned it originally.
Right.
So we'll see how it goes.
Right. The one thing I think that Rivals has an advantage over the same point in time with Overwatch is while there is like a competitive aspect for Marvel Rivals, there's no like, at least to my knowledge, there's no like Marvel Rivals League, right? Where it's like that kind of took over Overwatch, right? In a sense where it's like we started seeing less actual content in the game because they were focused so much on Overwatch competitive balance. We're like,
they had to make sure that the league version of it had to be a certain way balance wise, and so it hurt the competitive or the casual experience.
Right. And which
it's not even casual experience, the everyone else experience.
Exactly. So I feel Rivals, they're playing a bit faster and looser with it because it's like they can just easily change some things. And the one thing I really do love, and I think we saw some hubbub about it, but like they're like, oh, well, now we're taking some of the team ups and changing them. Like the Storm, Jeff Nato.
That's
like
new, yeah.
Well, I think that's super cool. Like, and that was purely from a fan like request. Like somebody posted on the comment, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, let's do that." Right. So you have Jeff Nato. So that's super cool, and I think that's a way for them to balance things a bit easier mid-season, stuff like that. It's like, oh well, yeah, actually this team up is probably a bit too overtuned and stuff like that, or vice versa. Like it's like, hey. X character, Y character, they're not seeing much play, and these other characters are, so let's incentivize that team up now, where it's like, hey, you're always going to have a Spider-Man or Venom on your team, let's give Penny the buff, even though I know they just took that away. I think they're giving it to Rocket, which I love, because like Penny and Rocket now have this thing where Rocket gets an extra res, I think, and Penny gets an extra spider drone thing, which I think is like, oh, now I might go back to Penny, because like I feel like Penny was just really weak in the last season, so
I do think that's where the game sings a bit, where you sort of like get excited thinking about like what compositions you can come up with to synergize the best. So it's good. I'm just waiting now for characters. I want to see some Cyclops, some Daredevil, some Nightcrawler. Let's see if they come.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
They will. Nightcrawler will 100% be there, and Cyclops. All right. Circana news I mentioned, not good numbers. Hardware, I mean, the total video game spending fell 3% for the whole month. Just so we all know that it's not a good thing. To 4.1 billion. Let's see. The spending was 8% behind 2024's pace. Jesus. So April hardware spending fell by 8% when compared to a year ago. It was the lowest monthly hardware dollar sales total reached in the U.S. market since July of 2020. PS5 dollar sales declined 5% in April compared to a year ago, but it did lead in hardware units sold. Switch spending fell 37%, not surprising, and Xbox grew somehow to 8%.
Everybody rushed out the gum before the tariffs hit.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered sold more units in April 2025 than Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion achieved across the first 15 months of when it first launched back in March of 2006. And obviously more full game dollar sales than the first 14 months of that. Let's see. Clair Obscur had a great launch, even though it was only out for
33 days.
7 days. Not even 6 days. It was 6 days.
Yeah.
It was 6 days in the month.
Nice.
So it ranked 19th in the April overall. I think it was 19th overall. If 21st on the it ranked 19th in April on Xbox, 21st on Steam, and placed 35 in the top 35 in April overall, and top 25 on PlayStation. So I expect that to be really far up in this list on this month. We'll see for May. But your sales chart for this month, Elder Scrolls 4 Remastered is number 1. Did 2 weeks on the charts too. Only 2 weeks for April.
Yeah. There's a lot of demand for that game.
That's impressive. Do you realize if Microsoft has 5 of the top 10 games?
Well, they're the biggest third-party publisher. I would hope so.
They are. Forza Horizon 5 is number 2. MLB The Show, Minecraft. There's number 4. Assassin's Creed Shadows, Indiana Jones, number 6. Good launch for them. Good thing. Look at you release it on PS5, and look where you are on the list now.
Things happen.
Number 6. Yep. Call of Duty, another Microsoft-owned property, number 7. WWE, NBA, and PGA are your top 10. Split Fiction's number 12. That's pretty good for Split Fiction on this list. I like that.
Yeah, totally.
I give that credit. Last of Us 2 got a bump. Last of Us Part 2, 13. It was
Makes
previously
sense.
23. Yeah. Kingdom Come is down to 19th. And Elden Ring still in the teens. So still selling well.
Yeah, I mean, Elden Ring's having the next game.
It hasn't.
Coming out, and
Night Rain,
it's pre-ordering apparently pretty well, which I have zero interest in. But
same here, but it's
clearly they're doing very well with managing that IP, which is why we had that story on the movie last week. So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, industry is not doing well. Tariff situation definitely isn't going to be helping. If there's not an end to it, right? Because Sony, I think, is okay for now, right? They stocked up. Actually, their summer of play or summer of game, whatever the hell they call it, starts this week.
Whatever they call theirs, state of play. Yeah.
So recommend if you're looking for a PS5, PS5 Pro, or any of those games or accessories, buy them for this sale because if the tariff situation doesn't end, those are definitely going up by the end of the summer. That's going to be your best bet for any of that stuff.
Everything is the cheapest it will be right now.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, that's why it's like I'm getting my Switch 2 ordered, and I'm like, I don't really need it right now because there's not much I want to play on it, but I'm like, it is the cheapest it's going to be right now. So that's what I keep telling myself. So, all right. I think that's going to wrap up this episode of the Gamecast, folks. Once again, thanks for tuning in. We are live on Twitch Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. You can subscribe. That way, when we go live, you get notified. And if you're watching this on YouTube, all the content's over there. Subscribe there. That way, you get notified when we post. We post multiple days of the week. We'll see you next week. We're going to try to do a bonus round spoiler cast for Clair Obscur. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you guys soon. We are out.